When you're new to working out, the gym can be a very scary place. There's a million different machines. It seems like everyone else knows how to use them. Don't get me started on the weight room. And you're just left there feeling overwhelmed and wondering why you walked in the doors in the first place. If that is you, or sounds at least a little bit like you, then congratulations, you clicked on the right video. My name's Heather. I've spent the last 3 years trying to learn how to get healthy and fit and make sure I stayed happy along the way, because that's important too. And everything that I have learned along the way, I've been trying to share on this channel with you guys. So if you really want to learn how to start your own workout plan and you feel like a total noob, this video is for you.
And because there's so much information I'm covering in this video, I will absolutely be putting as much of it as I can in the description box below, so be sure to check that out.
If you're nervous about other people judging you and how you're working out at the gym, let me just tell you, as someone who has been in the gym as a large woman for many, many years, 99.9% of the people in that gym are just there to get their workout on.
Allow me to introduce y'all to Random Gym Bro. Gym Bro only looks at one thing when he's at the gym: how hard his muscles are working. Not at you or your workout. And before y'all go stereotyping, no, it's not because he's being a peacock. It's because he, just like you, is there working hard to be the best version of himself.
I have showed up at that gym in sweats and crop tops numerous times doing my workouts, and more so in the last few weeks because I was doing a fat fashion challenge. Link below. No one said squat. Pun intended. If you're nervous about seeing people there that are super buff and like, oh my gosh, what do they think of me with my little baby muscles? Just a reminder, no one came out of the womb looking like a buff baby. They had to build those, and so will you. The very first thing that you need to do to start a workout plan is to figure out what your goals are and what it takes to get there. For example, my first goal was to be able to take the stairs instead of the elevator at work, and to be able to do so without feeling short of breath or in any pain in my knees or feet. Because when I was 50 pounds heavier, there was a lot more pain there. So to break it down, what I needed to do was to build strength so I could get up the stairs, improve my cardiorespiratory endurance, and also lose some weight so that the heaviness of those extra pounds wasn't weighing on my joints. So I split up all of my workouts to accommodate that goal. Whatever your goal may be, chances are you're gonna have to do a combination of different types of exercises to reach it and to do so without injury. Before you hit the gym itself, make sure you take your starting measurements. The last thing you want is, if you drop, say, 100 pounds or you bulk up with a ton of muscle, is to have no before pics. Those before pictures and measurements are what lets you see the progress along the way. Even if you're trying to lose weight and the scale isn't moving, you can look at those before and during pics and be like, oh, my body is changing. The scale might be slow to move, but hey, I can see that I built more muscles in my arms, or my waist looks a little slimmer. Those are the things that help you stay motivated along the way and are a way to measure your progress. I really wish that this is something that I had done in the beginning, because as of right now, I basically have 3 photos, which y'all have probably seen a million times on this channel, that were like my before photos. It's something I definitely regret. Once you know what your goals are, you've got to decide on how available you are going to be with your schedule. You can do an upper body day and a lower body day once a week if you have a crazy busy schedule. Sometimes it's easier to do 2 days. You can do a 3-day split, also known as a push, pull, and leg day. The push day is basically when you are working the muscles on the front half of your body, like if you are pushing someone away. Your second day would be your pull day, where you're using a lot of the muscles on the back half of your body, like if you are pulling something to you. And then day 3 would be your leg day. And then there's, of course, some of the more intensive workouts where you know that you are going to be there 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Never do 7. You always need at least 1 rest day. The most important thing is to look at your schedule and not just your goals. Because yes, I still have 50 more pounds to lose. And will the gym help a little bit with that? Absolutely. Diet helps more. But that doesn't mean that I necessarily have the time in my schedule as a grad student to go to the gym 6 days a week. It's a lot more important that you find a schedule that you can actually stick with consistently, rather than being super rigid in the beginning and then getting so exhausted after 2 weeks that you stop entirely. If you're kind of on the fence about what kind of workout day split works for you, I would highly recommend Googling, how should I split up my workouts? There's a lot of examples online with the different options for how to split them up, but the perks to that is you can also find a workout plan. And I'm gonna include the link to the one that I started with below. So the first thing you should do once you get your sample plan is go exercise by exercise. On mine, for example, my very first workout was a bench press, which I had never done before. So I was starting off clueless. So I took the time to look up first, what muscles does a bench press work out? Then I looked up proper form for a bench press. And I made sure to do this on multiple different videos because you will hear different things from different trainers, and it really helps to get the perspective as to why someone would do one form as opposed to another, and then find out what works best for you. Everything you do, break down into smaller pieces so it's less overwhelming. And if you start out with something and you end up hating it, that's when you can change it. For example, I started doing rear delt flies as part of my initial workout plan, and honestly, I kind of hated them. I did it with free weights and it just was not working for me. I felt very, very awkward in spite of looking up the correct form and being fairly certain that I was doing the correct form. It just wasn't something I was comfortable with. So I switched from doing free weights to doing it with the little cable flies at the gym, and so far that's working a lot better. Now, let's say after another couple of weeks of trying it with cable flies, I still hate doing rear delt flies. At that point, that's when you check, okay, we already know that we looked up before doing anything what muscle was being worked out. What I would do then is to Google exercises that target the rear deltoid, or Google alternate exercises for rear delt fly. The internet is a magical place and it will come up with all sorts of substitutes, and that way you can start the process over and say, okay, this workout looks interesting. Let me look up the form, let me try it, and let me adjust it as needed. So how heavy should you go with your weights? Start small. It is a lot better to start small and gradually up your weight as you realize it's not enough than to go too heavy and immediately injure yourself. You don't need to just look amazingly buff at the gym. That's not the priority. I see so many people that are using insanely heavy weights, but they're having to use the rest of their body to do a bicep curl rather than just their actual bicep muscles because they're using weights that are too heavy for them. If you're not familiar with what sets and reps are the number of times that you're doing the workouts or the exercise. So bicep curls, let's say I do 15 of them. That's 15 reps. If I do 15 and then take a break and then do 15 more, because I did the whole set twice, that's a set, 2 sets specifically.
Most sample plans will have a set number of reps and sets for each exercise, but if they don't, let me just tell you that if you're focusing on strength, you're going to want to do 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 12 reps at 40 to 80% of your 1 rep max. Your 1 rep max is what the maximum weight is that you can lift only one time. If your goal is endurance, you're going to want to do 3 to 5 sets of 15 to 25 reps at 40 to 50% of your 1 rep max, and don't forget to rest for 1 to 3 minutes between sets. If all of that seems way too overwhelming, an easy way to start is just to pick the heaviest weight that you can lift 8 times in a row while still maintaining proper form and go from there.
When you're working out, there's something called progressive overload. And what that basically means is that for your muscles to continue building, you eventually have to load them up a little more. So let's say I started doing bicep curls with 5-pound weights, and I've done them twice a week for the last 9 months. But my arms don't feel any stronger. That's because I didn't overload my muscles along the way. Exercise should be strenuous, it just shouldn't be too hardcore. So after 4 to 6 weeks, that's when your muscles themselves start actually getting stronger with a workout. Everything before that is just your brain communicating with your muscles and doing the workout in a more efficient way. So if it feels easier, that's why. And after that point, that's when you start gradually upping your weight. If you were doing something with your upper body, general recommendations that I saw online were to up it by like 2.5 to 5 pounds. And then if you were doing something with your lower body, the recommendation that I saw was to up it by 5 to 10 pounds, just because those are larger muscle groups, they can take on more. But don't do that until at least the 4 to 6 week mark, if not after. What I do to judge it personally is I do a workout, and if I'm a little bit sore the next day, that's normal. That means your muscles worked hard, they got a good workout, you're on the right track. If you're so sore that you can't move, you went too hard. If you feel no soreness at all, you might not have been challenging yourself enough, and you can use that as the judgment to go back the next time you work out and see if you need to adjust anything else. If you're finding that you cannot do a specific workout because it's too hard, so push-ups, for example. If you want to do push-ups, but you're like, okay, I can't go all the way down, which that's me. Working on push-ups right now. What you do then is look up online modifications 4 push-ups to make them easier. Most workouts will have different ways that you can adapt it. The push-up, for example, would be switching to doing push-ups on your knees and to doing them on a higher surface so you don't have to hold as much of your body weight up. Also, make sure you write down everything you're doing. You should be writing down the individual workouts, the weights you used, and how many sets and reps you did. Make sure that all of that is written down each time you do a workout. It's a way that you can track your progress. So let's say you've started doing all this. You've got everything put in place and you're like, something's still not quite right. That's when you take the time to troubleshoot your problems. Did I fuel myself before and after a workout? I'm still learning more personally about what kinds of fuel I need to put in my body, but the general consensus is that before a workout, that's when you make sure you have your fluids and your healthy carbs. And then after a workout, that is when you make sure you have your proteins. I know they say that there's no pain, no gain, but that is not the case with exercise. It can be strenuous and it can be hard, but if you're hurting, don't try to push through it because that's how you get injured. Instead, take a step back, make sure you're using an appropriate weight, and more importantly, make sure that you are using the correct form. Also, make sure that you are taking the time to warm up before your hardcore weight lifts and make sure you're cooling down at the end. You also need to make sure that you are having recovery days in between your workout days or splitting up your workouts so that the other half gets time to recover. For example, if I work out my entire upper body, I'm not going to do another upper body workout the day after. Instead, I might do legs or take an active rest day and just go for a walk. You have to give your muscles time to rebuild from all the strain you put them under at the gym. There's a lot that goes into creating a workout plan, but the main thing to remember is that your body is completely different than anybody else's. You're gonna have to adjust your workout plan along the way to find what works best for you. There is a ton of advice out there, so what I highly recommend is just saturating yourself in as much information as you can get so that you get a better idea as a whole of what you are doing and how you're working towards your goals. Sorry guys, my camera decided to throw a temper tantrum and thought that it was too toasty to continue and killed itself. So, we're here instead on my phone. All I was trying to say is that my personal workout plan that I put together for myself, just so you guys have a kind of collective example, was I looked up the different workout splits online. So I had my push day, my pull day, and my leg day. I knew that 3 days a week was sustainable for me and something that wouldn't make me like lose my marbles. Then I looked up a couple of different sample plans for push-pull leg days online and found one that seemed reasonable. I then looked up every single exercise on those plans to make sure that it was something that I could do. If it was something that seemed too hard, I looked up different modifications, but I also made sure to look up what muscle was being targeted with each exercise so I knew what I was working out while I was at the gym. Then I started practicing some of the exercises. When I start with a new weight, I usually do it for 3 sets and I do 8 reps. And as I build up, when I get to the point where I can do 15 reps and 4 sets without feeling obliterated, that's usually when I'm like, okay, it might be time to start upping the weight. And so far, that's worked out really, really well for me. If I ever feel overly sore after going to the gym, that's usually when I check myself and I'm like, okay, did I do too many sets and reps or did I do a new workout? Because some of them that I didn't like, I looked up new exercises for, like that rear delt fly has not been my favorite thing. And then I was like, okay, let me see if I need a new workout or if I went too hardcore with that new exercise, and I adjusted. I know that I am fairly new to weightlifting, but I know that there's a ton of other people out there who are just trying to figure out how on earth to start when you don't know how to do it. So hopefully this was some helpful information. I want to continue learning and then sharing everything that I learned with you guys on this channel. So if you guys still have any leftover questions after this video about going to the gym and lifting weights or using the machines, please comment down below because we're all in this together, we're all learning together, and that's honestly kind of the fun of creating a community here, is we all are here for each other. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will be sure to post more content all about health and happiness next Friday, or at least some Friday in the near future. Bye bye!